A neighborhood afraid, kids on the run. Back in November, an IT-Mate investigation revealed a runaway problem at a local psychiatric facility.
So after that story aired, dozens of former employees and residents reached out to our I-Team to share their stories, and we discovered even more problems at the Resource Residential Treatment Facility in Fountain Square. IT-Mate Stephanie Zepelin uncovered what these kids are trying to run from. Stephanie.
Brookville, people paint the picture of an unsafe environment full of violence. We spoke with dozens of people about what happened. Many of them didn't want to go on camera, but 3 were brave enough to share their stories, echoed by those others with IT-Mate. A former resident.
It was a nightmare the whole entire time.
A former nurse.
I decided to leave because I felt like it was very unsafe.
A parent.
You lose faith in the system quite a bit.
Different points of view, but the same messages and the same issues with Resource Residential Treatment Facility. Resource calls itself a life-changing psychiatric facility for children and young adults. According to their website, they address a variety of psychological issues like depression, anxiety, substance abuse, and PTSD. We started looking into what's going on inside Resource.
Bub playing with the cat.
When Jerome Baden contacted us last fall. His son Justin was in the facility last year.
You promise him you're not going to let anyone hurt him? And for months, I had to let him stay in a facility where he was being abused.
Jerome found out from Justin, and in emails from the staff, Justin was attacked by other residents and once by a staff member who Justin says pulled him out of bed and called him a homophobic slur. According to his father, 4 separate incidents in Justin's 6 months at Resource.
I was excited to leave.
Audrey Smart Huxley was also a resident at Resource at the same time as Justin. She echoes his stories of violence.
Things happen where people would get jumped and be put in hospitals.
She says staff gave them packets to complete in order to graduate the program, but there was very little direct guidance and therapy.
Would you rather go back to like a youth jail?
Mm-hmm.
You'd rather be in jail than
Yeah.
at Resource?
Yes, I would.
It's that bad?
Yeah, it's that bad.
Audrey says a majority of the kids inside Resource come by way of the criminal justice system, as was the case for her and Justin. Numbers Resource gave the Indiana Department of Child Services reinforce Audrey and Justin's stories of violence. January through November of 2017, there was an average of more than 35 resident-on-resident assaults a month. Physical fights are one of the things facilities like Resource are required to report back to DCS. The data also reveals an average of more than 28 resident-on-staff attacks a month.
With concern for my own safety and knowing that it could possibly get bad and I felt like I could get really injured, I had to make the decision to put myself first, which was not easy because I love those kids. And I stuck it out for 2 years because I loved those kids.
This woman spent 2 years as a nurse at Resource. She's still in the industry and spoke to us under a condition of anonymity. We'll call her Sarah. We disguised her identity and altered her voice. She struggled with whether to talk with us because she still respects some of the people who work there. But she says a majority of the employees are young and vastly underqualified to work with kids struggling with major mental health issues.
And the staff members would encourage the kids to fight for their entertainment, and then they started making concessions, bringing in outside food, doing things they shouldn't have been doing for the kids. And that in turn would create drama.
Sarah says she witnessed several incidents where staff members were violent with the kids, and she's told us she's aware of a male staff member who engaged in sexual activity with female residents. Another former employee told IT-Mate Resource has been on a DCS plan of correction for about 2 years. We reached out to DCS and they have not gotten back to us on that. Do you think that what's happening in there is making the kids better, is fixing
No.
the issues they have?
No.
We reached out to Acadia Healthcare, the company that owns Resource, to talk to them about these allegations. They said they'd pass our request along. So we reached out directly to the CEO of Resource, and she sent us a statement saying, in part, the Resource team is comprised of many compassionate and dedicated staff who are committed to providing not only for the daily needs, but also the treatment and healing of some of the area's most vulnerable and traumatized youth. Resource is committed to recruiting, securing, training, developing the highest quality staff in order to provide the excellent care these youth deserve.
I think that light needs to be shown. I think something needs to be done. And I want to be an advocate for those kids because there are many of them that could have a future if they have an advocate.
Jerome filed complaints with DCS about what his son says happened. He says he got a letter from DCS stating there was not enough evidence Justin was abused.
There's Bubba.
But he wanted to speak out in hopes of preventing something similar from happening to other families.
I won't give up. I'll keep going. I'll keep going till I fall over. It's got to stop.
Disturbing details, Stephanie. Are there other facilities like this here in Indianapolis?
So the company that owns Resource is called Acadia Healthcare. They have 4 facilities in central Indiana, 3 of those for teens. We requested that same data for all 3 of those, and that's in this story on wishtv.com.
And the nurse you spoke with had much more to say that we couldn't include in the story.
Yeah, one of the nuggets that that former employee shared with us was that they don't have surveillance cameras inside the facility. The ownership group Acadia nor Resource would confirm or deny whether or not they have surveillance cameras. But we did reach out to a bunch of other residential psychiatric treatment facilities that do similar things to what Resource does. 10 out of 11 of those said they do use cameras. The 11th wouldn't tell us, just as a safety matter.
You would think that would be common sense.
It was something a lot of them said had been an effective tool.
Yeah, I'm sure. All right, Stephanie, eye-opening. Thank you so much for that important report.
Marcus.